Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Growing Orchids in Jamaica, where I share with you just how I grow orchids in Jamaica. In case you are new, please subscribe to my channel so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. Today, I will be sharing with you how to propagate your Vanda, Mokara, or orchids. So, guys, if you want to see just how I propagate my Vanda, Mokara orchids, please stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. For your propagation exercise, there are some tools that you are going to be needing. A seccator or a nipper or just something sharp. You are going to need some alcohol, as you also need to sterilize your tool, because you do not want to introduce to your plant any form of germ or bacteria, whatever it is, to your plant. It is also a good idea to use some cinnamon powder. What the cinnamon powder does, it allows the area that you cut to dry out a little quicker than normal, and so it prevents the area from becoming infected. You could also use, instead of alcohol, 3% hydrogen peroxide. So whichever one of them you have, you can use. And I've seen where some persons use aloe vera as well, or turmeric powder. So there are a number of things that you can use when you are about to do a cut on your plant so that you prevent it from becoming infected. So I will be sterilizing my tool using the alcohol. And also I've placed some cinnamon powder into this small container for ease of use. So for my Vanda Mokara orchids, there are some of them that grows pretty tall. Just look at this one. That's a very tall one. So when you are about to propagate, you are going to be looking for a nice, healthy looking plant with lots of roots. But the rooting system is very important in propagating your plant. So this one here, which is one of my really faithful bloomers, I am going to be doing a top cut on this one today to show you exactly how I do it. So if you look at the plant here, you would have noticed that it has a robust rooting system and it is quite a tall plant. So here again, I have some other tall ones that I could also do a top cut on. And this is what happens to me sometimes when the plants get really tall. They really don't fit nicely in the bed, because no matter how I try to stake them, I don't know, when we have heavy wind, it just blows them over. I'm going to show you this one around here. See exactly what is happening. Right, so just this week, I tried staking these here because the wind is really giving them a hard time. And see, this one with a tall stake, but somehow it is just toppling over. No matter what I do with it, it's just toppling over. And so this is one of them I'm going to be cutting back as well. So when you look at the rooting system is quite robust. And so that's also a very good specimen for me to do a top cut on. Look at this. And so this one, I'm going to show you exactly why I'm doing the top cut and how I'm going to do the top cut. I'm going to show you it from the other angle where I'm going to get closer to the plant. All right, so the first thing with this is that if you notice here, let me get you a little closer to it. It's actually a very tall and somewhat lanky plant. And so what tends to happen to me and my plants, because my area is a little high in humidity, at times I notice that the plant will actually lose its bottom leaves. So if you notice here, the plant is coming from way down here. However, it doesn't have any leaves going all the way up. And so that is one of the reasons why I'm going to be doing a top cut on this plant. A rule of thumb, when you're going to be doing a top cut, ensure that the plant has at least 3 healthy roots. This has quite a bit here. So you notice 1, 2, 3, and some more down there. So I can cut this plant anywhere from here going down. So because it doesn't have any leaves down here, I am actually going to cut it just about here. And there goes. So there, I've made my top cut. So now I'm going to have to skillfully take these roots out. Some of them I will not be able to take out. I will just have to cut them off. But because the plant has several roots, it will not affect the plant. Because some of them have been buried deep down into other pots in other medium. So I now have to gently pull some of these roots out, and some I'm going to have to cut off if I'm not able to get them out, like this one. So if you notice here, the healthy rooting system that this plant has, and that is one of the things that causes it to be such a robust bloomer. And even though it has on 2 lovely blooms, I still do my top cut. So if you look here, you'll now see the stalk and the rest of the roots. Because this plant really had a robust rooting system, and that's why it did so well. As I did say in my previous video, it's a very good bloomer, always in bloom. Right now, it has on new spikes coming up, even though it has on 2 lovely blooms on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to seal off the top of here so that it doesn't pick up any infection. So I'm going to be sealing off with some cinnamon. So what will happen once the bottom is strong enough and you continue to water it, then it will send out some new plants. I'm going to show you just exactly what I'm talking about, because I do have a few that I had done before and they are sending out some new plants. So this plant was very tall a few weeks ago, and I basically did a top cut as well and repotted it in this pot. So if you notice here, it is actually sending out some new healthy roots, and look at that. So this was done quite recently, and this is what is happening to it. It has lost a few more of the bottom leaves, but that is sort of typical in the winter and in the area that I live because of the humidity. So now let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So that top cut was done from this stem. Look at that. It's coming from here all the way up. And look what is happening, guys. This bottom end of the plant, because I left it in the original place, I continue to water, I continue to fertilize, and see what is happening here. It has now sent out actually 3 new plants. So therefore, with these 3 new plants, you have to continue to water, you have to continue to fertilize, and you have to continue to spray, because the plants are so tiny. They are prone to all kind of things, and depending on where you have them. One thing to note also, when you do a top cut, you cannot leave the plant in the sun. This is another one, guy, that was done recently, and see how healthy and how powerful it is, and just look at the kind of rooting system that it is pushing out. So it is also important that you fertilize with a high phosphorus fertilizer when you do a top cut, because that will help to encourage the growth of new roots. So see right here, another top cut was done, and if you notice, this one actually sent out 1 new plant here. So I just have to nurture that and it will eventually come into a big nice plant. So I would not remove that until it has on sufficient root for itself. This plant here, guys, you notice it's not in a good condition. But I can tell you something, because what happens sometimes we get a crown rot. If you notice in here, that's what actually happened with this plant. We got a crown rot, but the fact that we got that crown rot, this actually sent out quite a number of new plants. See, I've cut one from here, and this was actually a stem cut because it eventually sent out enough root, and I was able to do a stem cut with this one. So this one was not a top cut, this one was actually a stem cut. And I'm going to show you, I did that recently. I took 2 plants from it quite recently, and just look what is happening here. I hope you can see the little nodule right here where it is actually sending out another new plant, guys. And so that is what happens when you do your top cut. This other plant here, I have it on one of my totem, but it's kind of difficult to stake. So I noticed that it is always just toppling over. I try tying it with the tie strap, but it still topples over. And look here, guys, what I notice happening. And I'm so happy for this. It is actually sending out some baby plants here. So this one is already sending out some baby plants. And if you look at the number of roots that we have here, so therefore, if I choose, I could actually do a top cut somewhere here at this point and allow the baby plants to actually develop under there. But there's something of interest, guys, that I want you to note when you are doing your top cut. Think of the time of year. It is best to do these top cuts close to or during spring. Why that is so? Because in spring the plants really grow more vigorously, and also you fertilize a bit more during spring because it's actually the growing season of the plant. So when you do your top cut during that period, you are more likely to have less issues with the top section of that plant becoming established, and for the bottom section of that plant to actually send out a new baby plant. And that's the thing with orchids in general. Most of them, when they realize that something is wrong, whether you do a severe cut or whatever it is, the top has been broken off, or you have crown rot, it will actually try to save itself by sending out a new plant. So this one, I'm going to do a top cut. It has on several lovely roots at the top here, and remember you need at least 3 nice healthy roots. And so my top cut is gonna be about right here with this one, and I'm hoping that the bottom will send out some new plants. So for your plants to be robust and really give you some lovely blooms, the rooting system is very important, and so that, and the leaves as well. So it is really important for you to really take care of the rooting system, give it the kind of food that it requires to establish really healthy roots, so that when you do your top cut, that top section of the plant will survive regardless of the time of year that you cut. So this is the one that I showed you while I was doing the top cut. Just look at the kind of rooting system that it has. So of course it's going to be difficult for me to lose this plant because the rooting system is just so vigorous. When you do a top cut, guys, it is important to look at the stem here just to see exactly the quality of it, because there is a disease called fusarium wilt that when it is in the plant, it actually will produce some reddish, brownish, circular line in the stem right here. So when you look at this one, it is quite healthy. I'm not seeing any purplish, and sometimes towards the edge of it, you'll see a little purpling. In case you find that happening, what you can do, you keep cutting up towards the top of the plant until you find clean, clear stem. Because if you replant that plant with the fusarium germ in it, then it is not going to do well. So this one is quite healthy. I'm not seeing any discoloration here. And so this is quite a healthy specimen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the cinnamon and I'm going to use that to sort of seal the wound so that it doesn't pick up any germ. So because I have quite a number of them guys that are really tall, for this spring, I am actually going to be doing quite a number of top cuts. So this is one of them. Doing top cut is just a good way to propagate. And there is one thing that we should understand. Persons do top cuts for different reasons. I mostly do my top cuts because my plants are getting too tall and they are at the front of my home and I want to maintain a certain height with them. So if I get baby plants from it, that's kind of a bonus for me and I'm happy for that. And also, sometimes when they get so tall, they are taller than all the other plants, and really and truly, for me, they're not really attractive or matching my decor. And then when I have a lot of wind, the wind sometimes affects them a lot more. And so, guys, I cut for different reasons. But most of my cutting I do during spring, and sometimes I may do that too in October, November, when we tend to get a lot of rain, and we call that our second spring. So there is my specimen, guys. Just look at that and just look at the powerful and healthy rooting system. And that is what makes this plant a really healthy one. With your rooting system, you notice here the ends are green, so that is an indication too of healthy rooting system. This is a pot I'm going to put this plant in and perhaps put some other pieces in it and make just a nice pot of Vanda with this one. If you want to see just how I pot my Vanda Mokara orchids, you may watch the video Best Mokara Orchid Steak Ever, and you will see just how I pot these orchids. I have come to the end of another one of my videos, guys. And I really hope that during the spring you will do your top cuts and you will be successful at propagating your Mokara Vanda Arantanda orchids. If you learned something and if you love this video, why don't you give me a thumbs up? And so that you never miss another video, please subscribe to my channel. And guess what? I look forward to your comments because I love interacting with you. So please leave me a comment below. And as we say in Jamaica, just follow back at me. This is the Orchid Duck, and I am growing orchids in Manchester, Jamaica.